Welcome everyone to week 2 of our football officials education video for the 2024 season. Thank you everyone for watching last week's video. If you would like to hit the like button or subscribe by clicking below, that would be greatly appreciated so that we can share this video and learn from it. We've had another week of great plays sent in to learn from this week. So let's get into our plays for this week. This week's first play shows a great job of our back judge staying on their key. And here on this play, the key for the back judge on this formation is the player highlighted in the red circle. And as we can see on this formation, we catch it right after the snap, but we have two eligible receivers outside the tackle on the head linesman side and two eligible receivers outside the tackle on the line judge side. The line judge side is on our near side, obviously. And so how do we determine those keys? And it's important that we know our keys so that we know where we're looking at and what players we're looking at and the actions they're taking. And in a balanced formation, the back judge will then have their key on the widest receiver in this formation on the line judge's side when we have a balanced formation. So as we get into this play, you're going to see how important it is to know your key and to follow them all the way through, because you'll see a block by this receiver and it will be a block below the waist. And it's a good job by the back judge getting this, because this is not a foul that we want to miss because it's a safety foul. Clearly see this is a block below the waist by the receiver who is not an eligible player who can block below the waist on this play. So this is a good job here by our back judge of watching their key, knowing their key, and getting this foul and flagging it appropriately, as this is a 15-yard penalty here on this play at the spot of the foul. Good job here in getting this correct. Next two plays here are going to involve two plays with hurdling. And we're first going to look at this player right here highlighted inside the gold circle and his actions. And if we look underneath the definitions of hurdling in the rule book, it clearly says is an attempt by a player to jump or hurdle with one or both feet or knees foremost over an opponent who is contacting the ground with no part of his body except one or both feet. And so we can see right here, do we judge this action of this player to be hurdling? And it clearly looks to me like he is hurdling over the blockers on this play. And I think this could be a hurdling foul, definitely called here on this play. This is something we have to keep an eye on. And a lot of times on extra points and field goals, you will see this. So keep an alert on this on extra point and field goals. This play here is going to demonstrate a hurdling play by the running back here in the middle between the quarterback and the other running back. He's in the center there highlighted. And you're going to watch on this run play as he gets the ball handoff downfield. He is going to attempt to hurdle a defensive player. And this, again, is hurdling. As you can see, the defensive player does not have anything other than 2 feet on the ground. So this is a hurdling foul, which was called. And this, again, is a 15-yard penalty. It's a safety foul. So we want to make sure that we're looking for this type of action by a runner or any player, because it is a safety foul. And as you can see on this play, this player comes down awkwardly and could result in an injury. So that's why we're looking for players that are hurdling, and we want to flag this as appropriate. Our next play here, we're going to focus on the player that I have highlighted inside the circle around the 10-yard line on the receiving team. So we have a kickoff here, and the kickoff goes towards the near sideline. And we're going to see the receiver player come over and catch the ball. And so the question here is two things. One, did he catch the ball and then go out of bounds, or did he step out of bounds and then catch the ball? And it's close. This is not an easy call. This is really close, but we do need to know the status. And so we need to know, did the player catch the ball and go out of bounds? Because the player caught the ball and then went out of bounds. Then we're going to mark the spot of the play at the out of bounds spot. But if the player stepped out of bounds first, then touch the ball, remember, that would be a kick out of bounds, and we're going to have a penalty flag, and we're going to have a penalty on the kicking team for a kick out of bounds. So we have to know the difference, and we have to know the status of the ball in the player at the time of the touching. Did he catch the ball, go out of bounds, or did he go out of bounds and catch the ball? There will be a difference, and one is a difference of the spot or a penalty for a kick out of bounds. So know the difference and be alert for this. Our next play here involves a foul that was called for illegal touching on the tight end that I have highlighted by the arrow, as it was ruled that he was covered up and ineligible because of the player that I have highlighted inside the circle, the wide receiver. So as we look at the line I have drawn here, it looks like approximately the ball is somewhere around the 41, 42-yard line, somewhere in there. And remember, our camera angle is not exact. So does that receiver look like he's covering up that tight end in this play? Can't be 100% sure, but if we cross compare across the field at this receiver, it does look like these two receivers are on the 40-yard line. And then if you look at the foot of the far receiver, it does look like he's on the 40-yard line. So was he covering up that tight end? So we have a foul for ineligible receiver downfield touching the ball, which is illegal touching. So the key here is we have to communicate. Number one, the wings must know the status of their receivers. Who's on the line, who's off the line. And if we have someone covered up or ineligible and goes downfield, we need to know that. This information needs to be communicated, and we need to talk about it after a play like this, because the goal here is we want to communicate the information so that we can get the call correct. And so this call you could say is questionable potentially. The key here is, again, communication to get this call correct so that we don't penalize a team unless we're 100% sure on a play like this. Keep communicating. Next play involves the player that I have highlighted inside the circle, number 9 on the defense. We're going to have a run up the middle where we have a pile of players, and we're going to see number 9 come up here and leap up onto the pile. So was this necessary? Probably not. But do we flag this? Well, you have to deem what you judge this as. But the key here is, one, we need to see this action by the player. Number two, if we're not going to flag it, at a minimum, we need to have a discussion with this player, and we need to explain to this player that this is not going to be permitted. This can lead to problems later in the game, and we want to do preventive officiating. Now, could you flag this potentially, depending on what type of game you're having too? You could consider that. It all depends. You're in the game. You have to assess the game of what you need to do. But at a bare minimum, like I said, this player needs to be talked to, potentially flagged, depending on what type of game you have. But be looking for this type of action by defensive players or any players for that matter. Let's play. Our focus will be on the two players I have highlighted inside the circles. One is the quarterback, and then the other one is the defensive player on the far side of the field. And as we watch this play, we're going to see the quarterback receive the snap, roll out toward the near sideline or the line judge's side of the field. The defensive player will come all the way across the field and make a tackle around the 42, 43-yard line. But what we're also going to see is that defensive player lowering his helmet and making forcible contact to the runner's helmet. You can see the forceful contact right here. And you can see how he lowers his helmet and makes that forceful contact into the runner's helmet. And then the runner's helmet immediately glances off to the right as a result of the force. So this could be easily supported for a foul here, a foul that we could call targeting, with the defensive player lowering his helmet like that and making that forceful contact. Remember, that targeting foul would be enforced 15 yards at the end of the run on this play. So also keep in mind, and many coaches will bring this up, is that in high school, it is not an automatic ejection or disqualification when a player commits targeting on a play like this. We have to deem that to be extremely flagrant if we're going to disqualify or eject a player for targeting. It's not an automatic. So keep that in mind also when you're observing these plays and calling these fouls. So our next play here, we're going to take a look at a spot of a player being down in forward progress. And we're going to see the quarterback here throw a pass downfield, and we're going to see the receiver right there, number 1, catch the ball. Then he goes to the ground right around the 30-yard line. So we have a player down at the 30-yard line. And then we're going to see, because of his momentum, he's going to slide forward up to approximately the 27-yard line. And when we continue to watch this play, we'll see that they spot the ball at the 27-yard line, 3 yards ahead of approximately where the runner went down. Now, again, this is judgment, but we want to get our forward progress spots as accurate as we can. We won't always be 100% accurate, obviously, but we want to focus on where that player went down so that we can get the spot as close as we can. We don't want to give a player three, 4 additional yards because of the slide if we can avoid it. Now, there are going to be times when we may not get the spot exact, but we do want to focus to be exact as we can because some cases that spot can make a difference in the game potentially. So let's work to focus on when that player is down. Let's not give them that slide, and let's give them the appropriate forward progress spot that they earned. Final play this week is a great play where we're going to be able to use this play, which is going to be a running play, to illustrate mechanics of the wing officials. Specifically, we're going to be able to focus on the head linesman and the line judge on this play and compare and look at the things that we're doing well and look at the things that we need to improve upon. A couple things on wing officials on running plays specifically. One, let the ball come to you and pass by you and let the ball take you upfield. Two, keep in mind that we want to be as stationary as often as we can. Now that, doesn't always play out that way, but we can see the play better. As we get into this play, we can see the handoff from the quarterback to the running back about 4 or 5 yards into the backfield. We look across the field at the head linesman, and we see the head linesman staying stationary, watching the play, observing the action, letting the ball going to come to the line of scrimmage. On contrast, we look at the bottom of the screen at the line judge, and the line judge has already taken off downfield. Again, we want to stay on the line of scrimmage, let the ball come up, pass by us, and then officiate from behind the play. It protects us safety wise in cases, and it also allows us to see the blocking out in front of the run better. In this case, the line judge will have to look back to the play and be moving while the head linesman is standing stationary, watching that action at the point of attack to be able to see it more clearly. Think of the concept of a baseball home plate umpire who keeps their head stationary to make correct calls. So we see the ball now coming up to about the line of scrimmage from this camera angle, it looks like. We still see the head linesman in great position facing the field on the line of scrimmage, staying off the field and watching the play stationary. In contrast, we look on the near sideline. We need to improve upon this because we have the line judge who's already 4 to 5 yards out in front of the play. We don't want to be out in front of the ball on this running play. We want to be where the head linesman is. So don't get too far upfield because now you're looking back at the action and you're also moving. And we want to reduce the amount of movement that we can because our eyes are better focused on the action when we are not moving as frequently. Then this play is going to take a turn towards the line judge's side of the field. Right here, we see the ball coming towards the line judge. Again, we look across the field. We see the head linesman just starting to turn and move upfield and seeing the action in front of the runner. In contrast, we look on the line judge side. The line judge has already moved onto the field, has placed themselves in a bad position because if the ball comes towards them, it jeopardizes their safety. They may have to back out, and they're ahead of the play. A couple of things that we don't want to be. We want to be behind the play. So to officiate these plays better, we want to have a better mechanics of comparing to the line judge side to the head linesman. We want to be more like the head linesman on this field. It protects us safety wise. It allows us to see the play better and avoids us having to come on and off the field. Use the head linesman's mechanics and improve upon your mechanics, and you will better officiate this play. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was helpful, and I hope it helps you to improve upon officiating the game of football. Until next time, take care and have a great game this week.